Hey everyone, today something really cool is going on at my college. We are having a little Comic-Con right here at my college. Yeah, I thought I'd just vlog this experience since it's my very first Comic-Con. And in fact, something super cool is happening. Paul St. Peter's is coming to this Comic-Con, which if you don't know, he's the voice of Xemnas from Kingdom Hearts. So this should be really cool. I'm super excited. It hasn't quite started yet. I'm gonna go get my ticket and then we are going to take a look around. So I hope you guys are excited about this. I definitely am. I'm already on cloud 9 because today we got, you know, the trailers, the new trailers for Kingdom Hearts 3. So this is just par for the course. Okay, so I just got my ticket. I actually got it for free because I helped out a little bit with the preparations. I was actually making these little tickets and putting them together. Not a big deal. I certainly didn't think I'd get a free ticket, but Mr. Hyde, my animation teacher, actually let me get a free ticket. So super cool. Well, I'm gonna have to get a lion. That's the definitely. He's already here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I ended up being the first to talk to him, the first to greet him, and he got signed this autograph. You know, it's $20, but you know, well worth it, and oh, it's just super exciting. We actually talked for quite a bit and it was just super awesome. So many posters. Oh my goodness. Why do I like this? This is just hilarious.
Kurama, the nine-tailed fox. Welcome to my panel, everyone. Sit down. You will enjoy yourselves. I insist.
Yes, please come in. Now sit down.
Sorry. It's okay.
Yes, everyone, please come in. Do sit down. And let's get going here. All right. Yes, my name is Paul St. Peter, and this is that voiceover audition panel. What I get asked so many times as an actor is, how do you get that job? What are your tips for auditions? That's why I created this panel. I want to actually tell you what goes on, and sometimes the thought process for the people that are going to give you work, and the things that you especially need to do as an actor, regardless of who is on the other side of the table listening to you, things you need to be ready for. My background is everything from Shakespeare to opera to what they call not legit theater to improv. And all of that led me, as a person with the voice training and accents and dialects and languages, blah, 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 to doing voiceover. In a way, it was kind of accidental. I went to a Christmas party and read The Night Before Christmas, but not the version all you guys know. I read the one which was the Cajun version.
Your chakra.
They're all going, oh, it's a deeper voice. Now, if you listen to me speaking now,
You hear me switch to Kurama,
and you hear me switch back to my voice,
and I do Kurama again.
do you hear the fact that I'm just keeping the same pitch all the way across?
Like your favorite role that you got a part for?
She asked what has been my favorite role that I've played. In voiceover, it's a tie between Wormmon, the Digimon, and Punch in Cowboy Bebop. Because they're both dear to my heart for different reasons. You've heard the term apples and oranges? You know? Those two roles are so different, but they were so crazy and wild for me.
Spidey!
Try and find him again.
I was waiting to see some Rick and Morty.
What's going on? This here's my favorite part. Go like this. Ooh. revolution. And I pray, oh my God, do I pray. I pray every single day for revolution.
Yes.
Welcome to the Villains of Paul St. Peter. Thank you all for coming. Let's more people drift in.
Xemnas, leader of Organization 13.
Now, what are you hearing? How am I doing that?
Xemnas has it's more of like a softer tone, like it's not all scratchy.
Yeah, she's saying that Xemnas has a softer tone that is not scratchy. In fact, this medicine character I play almost whispers. As opposed to Yami screeching at the top of his lungs. As Xemnas, I use one of the quietest voices that I do. I'm almost whispering. Because sometimes that's the scariest one of all. That creature that comes to you whispering how it's going to kill you in the night. That's
Also,
really
the word choice.
What's that?
The word choices make him appear more calm and collected versus demanding.
Yeah, you don't see Xemnas lose his cool, do you? Xemnas is about control. I'm the leader of Organization 13. Why do I need to raise my voice? I'm the guy, you know? What other qualities are you hearing? Because what she described is what I call a whispery quality. It's not quite,
It's not whispering. I actually do have my voice in this.
what else am I doing? Sir? You told me about the character and I said, and you thought about me. Am I supposed to feel good about this or not? You know? So I did the character end up being,
That's Punch. We're on the show called The Big Shot for the Bounty Hunters. How y'all doing? You know?
so when they said they want you to audition for Kingdom Hearts, they want to use the voice you did from Cowboy Bebop, I thought, really? They want me to use that voice in the show? Well, then he said it was the voice of Vicious. Now, when you get a character with a really cool name, you remember it? Like I did one game, and it's still my favorite character name yet that I've ever done. I was
Death Panda.
you know. Wouldn't you remember if you did Death Panda? That would stick in your mind, wouldn't you? Normally I'm third samurai from the left, okay? So I'll do a series and they'll say, we have some incidental characters to play, well, let's have you do them. So, and I have 3 lines, okay? Stop! Come back here! Ugh! Those are my 3 cues. Somebody went riding by and we were supposed to stop them, and I said, stop, come back here, and then he reached back and cut me in half with a katana, okay? So that was my dead thing. So they don't give you a character, usually that's third samurai from the left. You'll see those in my IMDb because people in studios they're so into it, they just want to document everything you did. Yeah, he was in Gungrave, you know. I did a character in Gungrave, I just can't remember the name of it. But sometimes you do these little characters and then they document that you did them. And you're trying to remember what it was. Well, I would have remembered a character called Vicious, right? And it turned out they called me in by mistake. But when I auditioned, I read the copy, I looked at the picture, I had an idea what they wanted, and I went ahead and I did his voice. And 3-4 days later, I get a call from the director. He said, okay, yeah, the people at Disney picked you. He says, by the way, I went and rented Bebop. That wasn't you that did Vicious. He says, but that's okay, they picked your voice. Well, then I watched Bebop. The character Vicious came on, and I went, my God, I picked a voice identical to his. Because if you listen, it sounds just like Xemnas. Now, the reason I mentioned the pacing before, about when you pace your voice, that's an element of it. The way the cues are written in Kingdom Hearts are about this long, okay? But the timing is that long. And they wouldn't let us add words, and they wouldn't let us take the contractions out. So I had to take a line like, nothingness is eternal.
Nothingness is eternal.
That's the voice I would audition with, and they did. And unfortunately, they wanted it to last this long. Nothingness is eternal is 7 syllables. And this is about a 14-syllable timing cue. So I had to say,
Nothingness
L's are like 4 seconds long. Or my favorite, Ansem the Wise, you look pathetic. Ansem the Wise, you look pathetic. The longest K sounds in the industry, that's me. And you need to linger on M's and N's. And I thought it was going to be awful, and the people at Disney listened to it, and they said, that's perfect, it's what we wanted. And I went, what did I say before? When they are the ones who sign the checks, what do you do? Right. So in this particular case, I got $1,560. So I really nodded my head because they wanted to do that. And then we did it 4 times. And so I came back and they said, this is how you sounded. I said, okay, it feels awkward. It's really weird. It feels awkward when you're trying to make these things so long. And I didn't think they would like it, but they just flew. They thought it was great. Thank you. Will not give into that. We get residuals for anime. If I do episodes that are under a union contract, they can play them up to a year. If they play after that, I get residuals on them. So we had it built into an anime contract, and people said we couldn't do that. We get residuals on the movies that I voiced. I talked about Zodiac yesterday. The first Austin Powers movie, International Man of Mystery, I did background voices on that. So when they're rented and sold and played on cable and stuff like that, eventually I get money from that. Those are residuals. But the gaming industry will not do it. They simply refuse to do that. And again, they're the ones that make tons of money. And when you say residuals, come on, they go, well, you know, yeah, our company's prosperous, but you know the gaming division? No, you know, we lose money on that, you know. You guys believe that? Especially when you buy a game and counting the artwork, the plastic cover, and the disc itself, probably cost them 75 cents. And what are you guys paying for a game now, brand new?
60, 50.
50, 60, sometimes $75 maybe, okay? How much of that are they pocketing?
All of it.
All of it. What are they giving to me?
Nothing.
As we say in the industry for the longest time, if they could do this without us, they would, but they can't. But do they value what we do? No. Well, you got paid really well. I said, how well are you getting paid? When I've got games out there that have been 20 years and they're still selling them. How many times do you think they're going to keep recycling the Kingdom Hearts stuff? It's going to go on probably after I'm dead. My voice making money for them all that time. Okay, enough of my union agitation. So, you know, we have some time. If anyone... Yes, Nicole?
What is the hardest voice you have to do?
The question was, what is the hardest voice I've ever had to do? Most of what I do is based on the choices I've made, and I can mix and match them. I'm lucky too, by the way. It's not some gigantic talent I have. I'm lucky that I can mix and match sounds, create a voice, and then do it with a different accent. Probably the most difficult voice I ever had to do was for the Digimon movie, when I did Kokomon. I had to do that monster voice, but they wanted the character to sound extremely simple and very, very straightforward. I didn't get a chance to add anything. So I had to do that voice, but I had to keep it almost flat. And the character had no emotion. It was almost like it was programmed. That was difficult to do. And that was a lot of hours. We worked a lot of sessions there, and that was where I said, give me at least a day off in between. And then I went in for the second session, and they said, okay, here's what you did the other night. And I listened, and I went, was that me? You know? And sometimes I throw myself off. He said, I do it, it's my character, I'm done. And some time goes by, and I listen back to the playback, and I went, oh, are you guys okay? A little scared off on that one. That poor woman that came in to watch me, who sat in the sound booth like this, she was terrified. She left after about a half an hour. She couldn't take it anymore. I thought, well, it's nice to know that it's working. But I would have to say Kokomon for that reason. Not that the voice was so difficult, but what they expected me to do was so different from what I normally do. Normally you're going to do a character, even if in One Punch Man, when I was the Beast King, they showed me a picture and he looked almost identical to Leomon, And they said, Posan, this character is very derivative. I said, yeah, thank. And I already knew what voice I was going to do too. And they said, yeah, that's what we want. We want Leomon. I said, okay, fine, you know. So I did that character voice, but even though Leomon and Beast King have certain things they want to do by way of combat, protecting the children, you still have what are basically very human elements and simple things that you want to do. So characters have goals, so it doesn't matter if you're an animal or not, it's all written that way. Kokomon, on the other hand, I was just this gigantic monster smashing buildings and trying to destroy things. But they wouldn't let me show emotion. It wasn't about this angry creature. That was hard to do for me. Because you automatically, as an actor, want to sort of infuse and throw in things. To find out about? Yes?
Yeah, I know you kind of touched on the whole strike and everything, but can you go in like more detail about that?
Regarding the strike?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we went on strike from October of 2016 till about roughly August of 2017. We have been trying for a long time to get companies that create the games, like Disney and like Activision and stuff like that, to give us residuals. Okay, when they sell a unit, we should get a little piece of that. We've been trying for decades, and they refused to do so, so we went on strike. We struck Disney and 10 other companies. You know, Square Enix and several others like that. Other companies like Blizzard were perfectly fine with what we asked. They said, yeah, what you want as far as protections go and residuals, that's reasonable. And I don't know what the actual formula is, it varies, but it's only a couple percentage points. It's not a lot of money. But per unit sold, being as we are part of what sells that, we feel like we should get a piece of that money. We do on commercials, we do on anime after they play it for a year, we do on movies and television, but they don't want to do it for games. If you look at the amount of money they make per unit sold, the kind of profit they turn, you'd think they would say, yeah, you know, you guys, you should get a little bit, but they won't. As I said in the other panel, you can't pry a nickel out of Disney's hands with a crowbar. They simply will not relinquish anything. At the end, we got 3 of the 4 things we were looking for in the strike. We got protections for mocap, motion capture actors, because they were having us go in and do, you know, combat and flips and fights and falls for the characters that are being seen on stage. And if you've seen the mocap before, you're wearing all green or all blue or something, and they put all these little things on you, and they track those movements, and they use those things, the little marks they have, to draw the character in doing that, you know, like this, or bringing a sword down, or thrusting like that. They go ahead and animate that stuff based on the movement you use. Well, actors were getting hurt. You're jumping and flipping and falling, and they said we have to have stunt coordinators there, professionals that know how to keep you from getting yourself hurt while you're doing this. We got that. Okay, vocal protection. They sometimes want you to just burn your voice and burn it and burn it and burn it and hurt it in the session. And if you don't want to do it, they'll get somebody else. So we got protection for that. We have too big of a strain on that. We got that put in there. The other thing was transparency. I will go in and work on something and they won't tell me what it's for. It's a union job. I'll do my work, but I don't know what it's going to be put into. Most of the time, they know what game they're doing and they know the character you're playing, so you have a good idea about it. But it's not guaranteed that they're going to take that work and put it in there. Sometimes they might put it in something else. And we don't know about that, and we need to know. What happens then? They are required, if they take my work from one project and put it into another one, to give me what's called a reuse fee. Okay, that is 125% of my original fee. I got a check from the studio one time, and I was expecting a check from them. And this amount was about the same amount, and it shouldn't have been, because they take taxes and stuff like that out of it, right? So I looked at the memo, and it said reuse fee. So after they paid me 125% and then took the taxes and everything out, it was about the same amount of money that I would have gotten before taxes on the first project. So if they take my work and simply insert it in something else, they pay me extra for that. Now why do you suppose we do that? We make them pay more to use my work instead of have me come in and do more work, right? Yeah. We want it to be more expensive because rather than recycle a lot of the same stuff, no. If you create games or write scripts and you are one that does the animation and stuff like that, and you actually are the one of the engineer that's doing all this wonderful stuff, we want new stuff to come out all the time and new jobs to come out. Rather than, okay, well, you know, that sounds a lot like that vampire thing we did in this one, let's put it in here. So you're not creating a new game and you're not creating new jobs and more work for you guys. They're just taking my work and putting it in something else. Thanks for the reuse fee. Okay, that's more money for me. But are we generating more work? No. So we make it more expensive for them to reuse work like that because we want new stuff to come out. And you as game players want new games, don't you? Mm-hmm. While we were on strike, that was 11 companies that couldn't produce anything. But one of the residual effects of that was that a whole bunch of other companies, like Netflix for instance, did agree to the contract. They did think that we were reasonable, and they started creating a whole bunch of games and doing these things. And these 11 companies led by Disney were standing like this going, it'll never happen. Wait, what's all this stuff going on right here? They're not the only game in town anymore. A lot of companies are saying, we can produce games too. And so they are. But long of the short of it, that's kind of what happened with the strike and why we did that. Okay. We didn't get the residual part, and so when they came to the membership in SAG-AFTRA, we all are the ones that are allowed to vote on it. I voted no. But it was an avalanche of yes votes. The good thing is we can get back to work again. So that means Kingdom Hearts can happen.
Alright, you guys, so yeah, that's how I met Paul St. Peter. I had a super fun time at that Comic-Con. It was my very first one. Sorry I didn't show you guys more of the booths or more of the people who were cosplaying there, but my phone is always strapped for storage. So I kind of had to pick and choose what I wanted to film. Honestly, this is just an amazing experience. I mean, later that day, I went back to Paul's booth with my friend because she hadn't got his autograph yet. And while they were talking, I noticed a sign he had up that said, the prices of an autograph and this and that. Well, one of the things you could do is you could have him make a voice message for you as any of the different characters he's been. So naturally, I had to do it, and here it is.
Greetings. This is Xemnas, leader of Organization 13 from Kingdom Hearts. Nicole and I are awaiting your message. Do not disappoint us.
Now, this was originally supposed to be $10, which I was more than happy to pay, but as I was getting out my wallet, he said, "Oh no, this one's on me." So I ended up not having to pay for that. And honestly, throughout the whole Comic-Con, he was just super nice to me and would just kind of talk to me randomly. And this is something I don't think would have happened if this was a bigger Comic-Con. Since it was so small, he was able to connect with a lot of the people there better and spend more one-on-one time with people and actually get to know them. He even said he wants to come back next year, so hopefully he does. And that's it. That was my first ever Comic-Con, and I am honestly still shook up about it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time.